Hey everyone, it's Dr. Angela Kudger. I'm the founder of Legacy Holistic Health Institute, and we are back today for another live stream for the evolution of health coaching. I have with me today for this amazing open house, Franshelia Yemaya Straughter. Now, we're going to be having a conversation about quite a few things today, but one of those things is going to be how we blend metaphysics with health coaching and why it is so important to have some kind of background or understand what metaphysics is and how it can empower health coaches who are looking to learn. So, for those of you who are joining us, make sure that you let us know who you are, what you do, and where in the world are you currently located. Friend Sheila, welcome to the open house. It is such an honor to finally have you on with us. I know we skipped the days around a little bit, but I wanted people to kind of be a little bit more in the flow before I brought you on. So, how are you today?
I'm great, and I'm actually excited about today and glad you switched me around. So I'm grateful today, but I am amazing. I'm so excited to be here, and I have been waiting. And actually, this is something I wanted to do when I first started in the institute is have a sit down with you. And I'm so grateful that we're here today. I'm grateful.
I'm glad we get to do it. I'm so glad we get to do it. Now, there are so many angles I could take our conversation in, but I know that a lot of people who follow you and who know a little bit about your weight journey, but this is getting streamed out into some places that we normally hadn't streamed before. So if you're joining us over there live on LinkedIn, welcome. If you're over on YouTube, thank you for being here. And tried and true Facebook people are always here, or they're going to always catch the replay. But for those who may not know you, and for those, especially those who work for healthcare organizations and even community health organizations, I want people to know a little bit about your story because you are, and we always attract some of the most resilient and incredible this institution. I want you to tell people a little bit about your story. We got a lot to cover, but your story, especially your weight loss journey and how you kind of got to the place of saying, this is day one. Tomorrow, I intend to be someone else. Tomorrow, I want to live differently. Because we have a lot of people at that place and they want to do something different, whether it's shifting their profession, whether it's changing the way they look and feel, whether it's looking at their social circle and shifting that a bit. I want us to talk about what that day one looked like for you and how you persevered on that journey.
Well, as my story goes, I was raised in the South. And anybody that knows that if you're raised in the South, you eat and you eat what's set before you, as they tell you in the South. I'm from Mississippi. So we ate and you ate whatever. You ate what was set before you. I can remember as a young girl, we would work the farm. We were farm workers. So eating was I ate because we had to. You ate what was set before you. So weight loss was not anything I even thought about growing up in life. I just ate. And over a course of time in life, and then the profession that I ended up in before I became a holistic health coach caused me to eat even more. Being in the church, and you eat all night, every day, everywhere you go. So it continued throughout my adulthood. So my entire life, I've never had discipline when it concerned eating. And so as an adult, being on over 11 different medications at one point, I said, enough is enough. I got tired of waking up with headaches. I got tired of not being able to walk. I got tired of being tired after I ate. I just got tired of being tired. And it wasn't until I turned, I think, 47. Well, it's been 6 years now, 6 years. 6 years ago, right at 6 years ago, I just was pounding my husband and we were just constantly eating and constantly getting fat and just eating. And one day I said, I'm tired. And we were in Fresno at the time, California. And we went to see a doctor, a bariatric surgeon, and we fell in love with them. So my weight loss began with bariatric surgery, but it first began in my mind because I was tired of being tired. And it wasn't until that time came that I decided to lose the weight. So that's how I started on the weight loss journey. How I kept it off for 6 years, my mind. You just say that, and I'll pause
Right.
there. If you wanna interject, I'll pause there for a second because I know that that's a lot within itself.
Yeah, I think that's a lot because we eat because of community, right?
Yes,
We
yes,
nourish and treat our bodies based on what we like to call our social determinants of health. And I
mm-hmm.
know Dr. Philip Halstead went through this during his interview. So if you missed that interview and you don't understand what social determinants of health are, make sure you go back and look at that interview. But what you're
Yes,
speaking about is this is the world around me. I act, I live, and I behave in
yes,
accordance with the world around me. And
exactly.
anytime I try to break away from that, I've got to generate new neurons and the way that I think and the way that my mind is set up in order for me
Absolutely.
to do something different. And I think people don't understand that that's the toughest thing. But another thing that people don't realize is that's when we activate metaphysics in our world, right? It has a lot to
Yes,
do with how we create our thought process and how those become things. Now, later on in this conversation, we're going to talk a little bit about why that is so important to health coaching. But let's talk a little bit so we understand your journey, right? We
hmm,
understand the surgery, and a lot of people think that even when a person has surgery, that it's easy, right? I know it's not because I did anesthesia for a ton of bariatric patients.
yeah,
I've been at the head of the bed a lot for those patients, and I can
right.
tell you it's not easy on them
Not at
before
all.
or after,
Not at
right?
all.
And
Not
so
at all.
I want you to talk a little bit about even afterwards, and you're in the flow of who you are and creating this new person. What are some things like around your home, your social circle that needed to change in order for you to keep this off for 6 years?
First of all, the mindset that if I want to keep any type of health or continue to let go of medicine and be more natural and holistic, I had to integrate my family first. I had to, integrate my children, integrate my grandchildren, integrate my mother. My mother who I was raised with. I had to let her know because when I go visit you, I can't come and eat a bowl of fried chicken. That I'm not eating that today. I'm eating salad, and you're gonna eat salad with me. So I had to just talk about, uh, you know, what I needed to survive to keep the weight off. But first, I had to talk to myself, and I do a lot of talking to myself. I'm a Sagittarius. So I do a lot of talking to myself and I look at things both ways. And I'm always wondering if I ever go back to the place where I was, where will I end up today? And I think if I
Mhm.
ever stayed in that position, there would be no Franshelia today because mentally it would have taken me out. Because weight loss, just losing the weight is not going to fix the problem. And I figured that out even after losing the weight, even after having the surgery,
Mhm.
even after dropping 110 pounds, it still didn't matter. I dropped 110 pounds in totality, but I still had it mentally.
Mhm. That is, man, listen,
It
we
was
got to
still
let that one
there.
marinate for a second.
I still
I,
carried the weight.
I always, I always tell people when a person loses weight, what's coming off of their physical body is the least of those things. There's a
Exactly.
lot that they go through in their mind
Right.
and in the world around them. What they have
Absolutely.
to do to continue that and to
Right.
persevere,
Right.
that's the real work.
That's the
That's
real
the
work.
real work.
That's the work. Even a person that doesn't have bariatric surgery and just decides that, oh, I'm just going to exercise every day. I'm just going to eat right. Even that person still has to overcome the mental part of losing weight, the mental part of why did I get to this place? And I had to ask myself that. I remember when my husband and I both had the surgery together the same day. And so I remember laying on the table before we went into the operating room. And I said to him, I said, you know what? I done sat around and ate myself to a stupor, and I meant that. I had just ate, and it was so bad that I would, instead of having this water, that we all should have beside my bed, I had a bag of candy. That's how bad it
Mm.
was. But that was mental. It was, I don't understand why I'm in this place, because there's mental blocks that I've had throughout my life and childhood that caused me to eat as a comfort. That's the comfort. And then me being the person that I was growing up, I didn't talk. So I was, not only did I eat, but I didn't say what was wrong with me. So I kept and held those emotions. So now I'm further damaging myself because I'm not talking about what's wrong with me. So now I just continue to
Mhm.
eat. And so that happened until I turned whatever age I was when I had the surgery. But I didn't become this holistic or this person that I am until 47 years old. I'm 50 today,
Wow.
but it wasn't until
Wow.
46. And this was after I lost weight. This was after I had already lost 100 and something pounds. I'm still fighting mentally. Who am I? Okay, I lost
Mhm.
weight. You look good, but who are you really? Do you really know? And that was the problem.
Yeah.
So at
And I
47,
think that's the, so people think that it's the scale, but what you're saying is in your, because when people go on a weight loss journey, and you guys let us know in the comments if you've ever done any of those challenges or if you've ever done any of those weight loss things online, people think that they're in some kind of competition with the scale. And for those people who are, feel like they've mastered the scale, there are people who think they're in competition with the tape measure, right? So they're constantly measuring things, not realizing that it's their mind that needs to measure up, that
that's
it's
just
it's
the
the
surface.
mind that needs to shift, right?
Right.
So
That's just
what
the
you're
surface.
letting them know is the biggest obstacle that you're going to face on any journey has to do with the one. There was um, a favorite quote that I used to have when I first became a health coach, and it was just a matter of coming out of the space of traditional medicine into holistic health and wellness and fitness. And one of the things that I realized, or there was a quote that stuck with me that says, "The battle is lost or won in the space between your ears." Any battle in life is lost or won in the space between your ears. And so
Yes.
when people think, oh, I'm down 2 pounds today, I just look at them like, I don't want to be down 2 pounds, up 1 pound of muscle as I age. Like, I don't want to be out here frail. I want to be one of those people who are durable and healthy. And that's the
Yes.
lifestyle that I want to lead as I age. That I already got in my mind. I'm
Right.
made up with how I want to be and how I want to look and how I want to live. And
Exactly.
so I thank you for confirming that for people, and that once they shift their mind, they're able to stay the course. So let's
Yes.
shift the conversation a little bit. So now you understand who you were, you've gone through this weight loss process, and now you're at the space of, I'm 110 pounds lighter. Who am I really? And so, how did you go from that to becoming this founder of Grow Love? How did you go from, let me understand who I am at my core, to now I'm ready to lead from the front and help other people?
Well, it really was all about, to be honest with you, it was all selfish in the beginning, if I have to say it at best. When I really figured out that, oh, wait, there's some things I got to do for me, I got to a place where I began to understand that wherever I am in life today is exactly where I place myself. And when I say that, I say it with the mentality that I place myself here mentally. So if I'm at a place now, I've lost the weight. Okay, now the weight is gone. I'm not eating anymore. Now, what do I do? I don't have food anymore. That's not a comfort. So now I have to tell everybody, how do you get past losing weight and still finding yourself at the same point and still trying to figure out, the people watching? It's a whole bunch of stuff going on in your head and you're just trying to figure out life, but at the same time, you don't know what that means. So it wasn't until I turned 47 years old and a beautiful, beautiful woman that I know from my hometown introduced me to you. When I met
Mm-hmm.
you, is when I really found out that I've always been this person. I've always been a health
Mm.
coach. I've always been a metaphysical person. I just didn't know it. So the weight physically helped me shed the weight mentally when I realized, oh, yeah, you really have something to offer because it's always who you were. I didn't choose health coaching chose me. I've always been this person. I remember when I was a little girl, I used to always see my mother in the white uniform, but my mother was an Eastern Star. And in the South, the Eastern Stars wore the white nursing uniforms. I thought my mother was a nurse for the longest, which she was in some capacity, but I fell in love with nursing. So I wanted to be a nurse. But life challenges and what people want you to do changes that. And you
That's
don't
right.
be who you really are. So life changes your growth
Mm.
and you become other things and you become other things to other people because I'm the type of person, if I'm with you, I'm with you. I got you, I got you,
Mhm.
period. Even if it means I lack. That's
That's
who
right.
I used to be. So Grow
Hmm.
to Glow came about with you got to have some self-love. See, everybody want their glow up. Oh, I'm gonna gotta get my glow up. You can't get no glow up until you grow up. And if you don't grow up, there's no glowing. Because you're gonna be out there glowing and
Hmm.
not knowing what to do with it.
Hmm.
And so that's how
Hmm.
Grow to Glow came about because I realized I can be out here and I can be because I was a pastor. So I can be Pastor Straughter, I can be Overseer Straughter all day long. But who is that? Who are you? I didn't know. And it wasn't until I turned 47 and I became a part of the school that I began to understand that everything I felt when I was younger, I wasn't crazy. Wait, I'm not crazy. This really makes sense to me. And so Legacy helped bring out a lot of who I am today. A lot.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. So later on, I want to know who introduced two things. Y'all got to remind me in the comments. Y'all remind me to do this. Two things. One, before this is over, we got to give a shout out to the young lady that introduced you to me because I always like giving people
Yes,
flowers that stick, and anything on the internet is forever. Okay.
it is
Second
for
thing I want to remember. You said that you and your husband had this surgery on the same day. What in the whole world were y'all thinking, right? So that means later on, we got to bring him on here and hear his story too. Okay.
yes,
So at
yes,
some point, we've got to get him in this evolution of health coaching because, as you guys know, there are 8.6% on the planet that are health coaches like Franshelia that identify as African American. Those numbers are extremely low. So the
that's good.
fact that we have her here and that she is telling her story and that completed a health coach training program, she is rare. Okay. It is rare for you to run into an African American who has taken this journey and has also stepped up to lead and help other people. It is even more rare to run into an African American male who is on a health and wellness journey and has
Yes,
truly stepped up. And I don't mean these people out here just influencing y'all. I'm not with that. Okay.
that
I'm
part.
not team influencer. Sorry. If you are an influencer, God bless you. I'm grateful for who you are and what you do. But I run into people that people know them. And the first question I have is, what are they known for? What are they doing for the world?
Hmm.
Why are we following them? No,
Right,
I don't care about their clothes. Why are we
right,
following them? Who are
right,
they? Right?
right.
Because these are all the things that then become what socially determines how we live, what we eat, and who we are. So we
Yes,
have to make sure that what it is we're listening to and who it is we are following are
yes,
people like Franshelia who actually are the people who can influence change on the planet. Those who have stepped up and said, I have gone through my journey. I know how to lead from the front. I know what it means to persevere. I know what the obstacles are going to be that this person is going to run into. And I know how to help them get past it, right? I can truly empathize with them. I'm not faking it, right? And
right.
so and so we'll talk about, maybe we'll bring them both back, right? And talk about how we managed to get through the healing process. That's interesting because that's a whole nother dynamic concerning how we relate and the relationships that we have or that we choose, those people who we choose to have a front seat in our lives. So that's a
Right.
whole nother conversation for another day, and how those
Right.
relationships dictate our health. We'll get that on the calendar probably for September. Okay. Um, Back to you, Franshelia. Let's
Yes.
go ahead, and I want to talk a little bit about, now you are a coach. Someone introduced you to this program, and now you've gone through this program. You've got what I like to call a foundation how to coach and what to do. You've got resources that you can now refer to help other people. And now I want to talk a little bit about what are some of the obstacles that your clients have in your years of being a coach. When you run into people who help, what are some of the biggest challenges that they're like, I've tried this and I simply can't get beyond this?
Okay, so you were going in and out, Dr. Kudger, but are you asking me what was some of the obstacles? You were going in and out, so I didn't hear the question. Can you repeat it one more time for me?
Sure. So, what were some of the obstacles that your client with? Right. So, what are these ideal types of people that come to you, and what are their biggest issues that they have when they come to you?
What are some issues that people have had that come to me, and what are the obstacles they face that they've been facing? I'm thinking that's the question I heard. Okay. Well, a lot of people, I have a lot of females, of course, that come dealing with a lot of issues of needing, and I'm gonna use that word, needing to be loved, needing to uh, have people to get them where they need to be versus using their own gifts and talents, or people that have been abused in situations verbally so much to the point that they think that they're so low they can't come out of it. Um, it's very difficult when you're dealing with someone that's dealing with psychological trauma. Very difficult. But one thing I've dealt with, because I've dealt with psychological trauma from a previous marriage before I got married to George, I dealt with psychological trauma, and I had to find out who I was in order to overcome that. So I teach my clients that it doesn't matter what a person said to you, because those are words, just
Mhm.
words. And only you can change those words, because the power is in you. Life is not happening to you, life is coming from you. So if anything is coming at
Mhm.
you that's not giving you life, cut it. Now that's easy to say. That's easy. That's easy to say.
Mhm.
Very easy to say. Very. But I believe that when a person is really ready, they're going to make that step. Even if it's a hard step, they're going to make it. And so I just coach them through it. I don't push. You're going to be ready. I don't babysit. I don't allow them to be babysat, because that gives them more of a reason to depend on you as the coach to pull them out of what really they're the only person that can bring them out of. I'm
That's
coaching
right.
you. That's it. I'm the driver. You just get on, and when you get on, you tell me what you need, where you need to go. Okay, let's go. Okay, you need to go. You need to go to love lane because you're on pity lane. Let's go. Let's go to love lane. But let me tell you how you're going to get there. You can't go to love lane still having pity for the person that told you that they don't love you. That's their problem. I need you
Mhm.
to let's deal with you. And so I teach the clients that it's not about them. It's all about you. And when we get past, okay, it's not about them, it's about me.
Yes.
Because people think being selfish is a bad thing.
Mhm.
It's not when it's affecting who you are.
Mhm.
It's not. It's not. I've been married to the same man for 27 years.
Mhm.
You better believe one of us or both of us have been selfish at times, and it wasn't
Mhm.
warranted. But now, when we're selfish, because we both understand that we have things we need, we're okay with the selfishness because we know where it's coming from.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So that's what I teach clients that can't get over what people say or how to come out of what they're in.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to be selfish, even in this moment, because it's healing you.
That's
As
right.
long as you ain't hurt nobody else, it's
Mm-hmm.
okay. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing that I teach. It's okay to be selfish. That's where grow to glow comes in. It's okay. You can't glow. I promise you, you can't have all these things y'all looking for until you realize that you are still in a childlike mind because of how you were raised.
Mm-hmm.
Your lottery of birth caused you to be this way. But we don't have to be who we were because that's really not
That's
who we
right.
are.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm so glad that you help individuals go a little bit deeper to understand that they can be empowered on their own journey, right?
Yes.
And that's the cornerstone of coaching, because and you'll find, and you've probably seen this, where people say, well, I told them to just do this and they won't listen. Most people don't respond well to people just telling them what to do. Kids
No.
don't even do that. Children
Mm-mm,
don't even do that.
mm-mm.
And so we have to understand as coaches, and we talked a lot about holding, or being able to hold the capacity. In metaphysical sciences, we call this holding space. But having the capacity to see someone else through a situation and understand that along the way they need to be empowered, don't need us to give them the answer. That's not really how that works, right?
That's not
So I
how it
want to go
works.
ahead and I want to start kind of diving into the metaphysics of health coaching, because for those of you who are watching who don't know, we do have some metaphysical principles in this health coaching course. Now, it's still a healthcare type of course, but we want to make sure that in this day and age, we understand that there are people who may become ill that can't be pinpointed on a test. There are people who might show up with illnesses and stuck energy, and someone's coming, I think, next week to talk about how trauma gets stuck in the feet, in the body, and how those things need to be moved. But now more than ever, there are a lot of places overrun with people who say, I just don't feel good. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I don't feel good. Now that health coaching is on the rise, it is also incumbent upon the health coach to understand, well, what do we do when we cannot pinpoint a food we should tell them to eat? What do we do when we cannot pinpoint, uh, you know, something we want to give them, a vitamin we want them to take, or a workout regimen we want them to do? Everything that comes up for the human being cannot be fixed with just food or nutrition or a diet plan. Health coaches have to know more. And when I say more, I say that in an expansive way. And so we're going to go into that more for them, because I know you know how to have this conversation, right? And so let's talk a little bit about what that more looks like, okay? So you encounter a person that says they appear to be in great physical shape, that you don't see anything physically with them that's wrong. What are some of the things that health coaches need to be able to see, that the trained eye, that we did not learn, I did not learn in traditional medicine? What are some of the things that they need to be keen upon seeing when they actually see a person?
Well, the first thing is being very conscious and aware of who's sitting in front of you. And that comes with, especially with legacy, you taught us how to build up to that point. But when you do have that person sitting in front of you and you now know their story and you know what they need, you now have to be aware or conscious enough to know that there's a certain thing or a path that they're telling you about, but there's also a certain thing or path that they're not discussing. And 9 times out of 10, they're not discussing what's really causing them to have headaches, or what's really causing their body to ache, or what's really causing them to not want to get out of bed. And, because you get all these medicines and, and that's good. But What do you do when there's no diagnosis? What do you do when the doctor can't look at the MRI and say that they see this and this is what you have? Because you can't, because it's metaphysical. It's inside, it's your energy, it's your mindset, it's everything that you're allowing to overtake your mind and your body. Now it's causing your body to react, but nobody knows it but you, because the doctor can't even see it. And so trauma, stress, tension, like Miss Lakeisha said, all of those things cause us to be sick inside. Watch this. After having surgery, being on 11 pills, guess what? Even after coming off of 11 pills, my body was still doing the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What you mean? I ain't on the pills no more. I lost 100 and something pounds. I'm eating a little bit better now. What do you mean? I'm still dealing with the same body pains, the same headaches, the same, because if you don't line up your inside, your spiritual part, the part of you that connects to every part of you, everything is energy, okay? So it all connects, okay? It all connects. And if you don't have those things in line, then your body's going to be off. And the first thing is being aware of what your client needs, being aware of where they are mentally. If I don't know that you're dealing with a couple of people, then I can't help you to talk about who we need to talk to first and deal with that trauma, because there's trauma in me not even wanting to go see a health coach.
Mm-hmm.
There's trauma in me talking about what happened to me when I was 5 years old, because the person that it happened to did it was my cousin, and my mama and them didn't know that, so I can't go talk to my mama about it. But in our community, we don't talk about what happens. We keep it quiet. So we build up all of this pain that even the doctor can't fix because it's mental.
Yeah. Yeah. And the eyes to see it just are not there.
No.
Right. And I can tell you, as someone who came through several medical programs, right, who's held several medical licenses, my health coach training is what actually set me on a path to understand that we were missing the mark in healthcare. As
Mm,
hard as we were,
mm,
as much as we know, we're
right.
still missing the mark,
Missing it.
right?
Yeah.
Big time,
Yeah.
right? And it's just because that's how our system is. So, yes, you need your clinicians, but you also have to be tapped in, tuned in, and connected with people like Franshelia, who not only have this knowledge, but are also willing to lead and share that knowledge with you, right? And understand where she got that knowledge from, right? She's connected to where she got that knowledge from. Community is huge when it comes to overall health. And I'm gonna tell you something. People realize that yes, they did. Let me not say that. I think people have always realized that community. If you don't realize that the people you around look like, talk like, and are like you, they spin like, they grow like, they flow like you. If you don't know that by now, I don't know where you live. But I will say, when we look at the research concerning longevity, spiritual awareness, spiritual awakening, your community, who you're connected to, is a big part of your growth. It is a
It
huge part of your
is.
growth,
It
right?
is. It is. And to say that I am sitting in the seat today as a metaphysical health coach, when I was raised in a Christian church, and I was raised that what I'm doing right now would send me to a place that I would not live forever. And I would, all of that, you know how all that comes about. To say I'm sitting here today, I'm happy to be sitting right here because
Good,
I
good,
know who I am now, where I
good.
had no clue who Franshelia was. All I knew was what my name meant. My mother told me, and it was beautiful singer. So all I ever thought was that I was a beautiful singer. But I know that I'm more than that now. I didn't know that then. but it took me going through my environment. I was a product of my environment. That's how I became overweight. That's how I became who I was. But I've always been a health coach. I've always been who I am because I've always been there for people that needed more than what they could handle. So
Mm-hmm.
we are always who we are. Life deters us.
Mm-hmm.
Life takes us off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's
Yeah.
really about coming back to that space of being centered, right? And
Yes.
so I also feel like the pandemic, when people had to go into themselves, when people had
Mm,
everybody had to go inside for a little bit, Mother Nature was
yes.
like, everybody's wrong,
Deal
everybody
with it.
gets time out, right?
Deal
Right,
with it.
everybody gets
Yeah.
right, sit in the
Yeah.
corner, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think that pretty much everyone got a glimpse of how they were impacted when they could no longer connect in community. We quickly, a lot of people's health declined rapidly. So
Yes.
we are connected deeply to our communities and the
Yes.
people that we feel like hold us up, right? And so we want to make sure that those communities are progressive in the space of health and wellness. Now, I think I saw a comment in here where the person was saying food plays a big role. It plays an incredible role. It's Food plays such a big role that the government in the US has done everything they can to give you pseudo food, right? It plays that big of a role. It plays that big of a role, right?
Food is the
And
center of it all.
mhm, it is at the
Hmm.
center of it all. And it
Hmm.
plays such a big role that if you were to go on a cleanse long enough, your brain fog would clear up. You would be able to start to get an idea about where Franshelia is and how she is saying, I'm so much more than even what people think I am or what they have labeled me as. And that's great.
Right.
I'm
Right.
good with what you put there, but I'm so
Right.
much more than that, right?
So much more
And
than.
it's so important that people see that. So let's talk a little bit about how or what it takes to hold the space to see someone else. And this is all metaphysical, you guys, right? And when I say metaphysical, I also am speaking because a lot of times people think metaphysical and spirituality are one and the same, when in reality there are sciences that back metaphysical, right? The metaphysical realm, right? And
Hmm.
so we want to make sure that we understand and we see this as more than I heard it and it resonated with me, so I believed it. No, there are quantum physical concepts that will prove this information correct. So it's more than just something that you might hear people say. Even the fact that thoughts become things. One of the things that we teach at Legacy is that there is a quantum physical concept that covers that, right? So I want to
Hmm.
talk a little bit about what it means for a health coach to have the capacity to hold space for someone else, right? A lot of times I think what people miss is when they go to a doctor or whoever and that person says, well, you've got this, so this is going to happen, that's going to happen, that's going to happen, it's going to get worse before it gets better, and then they find themselves getting worse before they get better. Space was still held for you. Space was still held for you. It just wasn't held for you to get better, right? And I think people miss that. And so I want to talk a little bit about the power of being able to hold space for the result of someone else.
The first thing is making sure that I'm truly, truly, truly aware. I'm going to always use the word aware of that person and what that person needs from me. Even before starting that session or starting the relationship to be your health coach, we got to make sure this is a relationship that's going to work. And so if you're listening, I'm not always taken away from when they don't listen, because I think that when a person is silent is when they're listening the most. All that talking, you can't hear nothing if your mouth moving. My mama used to say that. And so I believe that when you're building someone, you have to be able to hear them and be okay with when they're silent, because just because they're silent doesn't mean that they're not listening to you. And so I'm very, very aware. I stay aware of their condition throughout the coaching process. And so that's how I get through with a client. I'm just always aware of their condition throughout, because at some point, if you're too silent, now we need to talk, because I'm gonna give you give you some time to be quiet and go in, as we say, go in to come out, because you got to go in. You got to go in and find out what's going on in there and see what you need to fix. Because no matter what a person tells you, if you don't believe it, it's not going to work. Even what's wrong with you. Because I can tell you all day, this is what I see, this is what I feel you should do based off of what I'm talking about in this moment. But if you like, yeah, Franshelia, I hear you, but yeah, that ain't me. You got the wrong client. No, this meditate on it. Think about it. Just think about it a little bit. Just put yourself in my seat and coach yourself right now. What would you tell yourself? And then well, I say XYZ 1 2 3, and it's the exact same thing I said, but they said it their way. And now they're like, oh wait, oh okay, I got it. But if they never get it, it doesn't matter how much time I give them. It doesn't matter how much mindfulness I give them, or even how much empathy I give them for whatever they need. It'll never happen until they first believe it. It'll never happen.
Do you feel like minority populations don't always share how they feel?
We don't share how we feel. Where I come from, we don't share how we feel. My mother, I love her. She loves me. And I know she's probably here today because we always talk. But after 47 years of living, me and my mother sat down and had a conversation about anything that I thought I needed to tell her that bothered me, she did, or whatever the case may be. And my mother said these words to me. She said, "You know what? Your brother said I never told y'all that I love you." I said, "You never told us, but you showed us." And for me, the action was greater than the words. So my mother never had to say, "I love you, I need you, hug," none of that. When my mother get up and go work 3 jobs, and she come home to make sure we eating and we're good, and she taking care of us. And my mother's an educator, making sure we go to school and get our education. That's another reason why I'm in school. My mother started her master's degree at 50 years old. So there's no excuse for me. I have no excuse but to follow her footsteps. But she said those things. But it doesn't matter what she said, is what she does. So
Mhm.
actions is all about the action. If I don't do it, I won't see it.
Yeah,
It won't happen.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that based on how not all not all families, because I'm
Oh,
black, so I grew up in a minority family, right? I've been black all my life, right? I can't really speak to nothing else, right?
me
And
either.
so and so I can speak on the minority households that we were connected to, right?
Mhm.
And those communities that we grew up in. And so a lot of times when you, and the reason I'm bringing this up, you guys, is, and this is for every nationality that watches, at some point when you decide to step out, no matter who you are, no matter what ethnicity you identify with, when you step forward to decide to help other people, especially with their health, you're going to run into minorities who want your help. And
Right.
it's important that you can identify with the fact that they may not be open at first. They may not be open at first. And it's not just us. I only speak from this perspective because of the race that the ethnicity that I currently am. And so it's important that when I see numbers that are like this 8.6%, and I see that so many people need a health coach, I think about the other minorities and people who will not get served, who will feel like there's no one that looks like me.
Yeah.
And even if I do find someone or choose someone that doesn't look like me, how long is it going to take me to trust them? I already don't even open up with the people I'm around.
Right.
So my concern
Yeah.
is always, will we ever get the result that we're looking for as a minority population? And so it's important that minorities know that they can open up. It's
Right.
equally as important that they know that there are health coaches out there who look like them. And it's important that you understand that if you were to become a health coach, you would be someone who is serving in a big capacity where
Yes.
there's a great need. Okay.
Yeah.
And
In need.
so I want to talk a little bit about some of the signs, because we got a lot of people kind of on their journey, and what are some of the signs that you've seen practicing health coach, or just in general in your community? What are some of the signs that you've seen that people might have a deeper issue that they're not willing to open up about?
You
What
said
are
some, what
some
are
of the
some
signs that you've seen?
signs? Some of
Mm-hmm.
the signs. Um,
Mm-hmm.
some of the signs that I've seen of people not wanting to come out or talk about what they're dealing with is just pretty much the absence of communication as far as where they are and why they're in that place, and they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to go back. They want just, let's work from right where I am. Well, no, we can't start right where you are if we don't deal with how you got here. And so a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people that I've encountered in my 30 years is they don't want to go back. They don't want to deal with what they had to deal with. And I didn't want to go back. Let me just say that. I didn't want to go back and deal with anything I needed to deal with before I turned 47 years old. I didn't want to go back and deal with those things. I wanted to start here. Well, that wouldn't be fair to me or anyone around me to start right here and move forward without dealing with what brought me to this place. So this, I see a lot of pauses in that area where I'm good. And anybody that doesn't want to deal with their past, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's exactly what we need to talk about. That is exactly what we need to deal with. So that's what I've encountered a lot of people that don't want to bring the past to the present. And we don't want to live in our past, but we have to reference it. We have to know where we came from so we don't do the same things moving forward. So we have to talk. And so I see that a lot. I see that a lot.
That's right. Yeah. It's scary, girl. The past is scary for a lot of people.
Ooh,
And and of course we're all in love with growth, right? That's
yes.
just like a baby being in love with their first steps, right?
Mm,
As humans, we're just innate in knowing that we're here to grow, right?
right.
And so I love what Miss Charlie said. People don't open up because they're scared. Like, what are they going to think of me? You
Right.
know, and it's important that health coaches lead with empathy. And I love
Yes.
that. All people need to lead with it, but health coaches especially need to lead with it.
Oh,
So
yes.
I want to talk a little bit, like playing on what he just said, I want to talk a little bit about what are some of, now that you are a practicing health coach, you're a proud graduate, all that good stuff. I want to talk a little bit about what are, besides empathy, what do you feel like are the characteristics that you say you absolutely need these to be a great health coach? Besides being, empathize, being able to empathize with people and where they are, what would you
Big.
say are some attributes people need?
I think you definitely need to be a very, again, I'm going to always use aware because my thing is awareness. Because if I'm aware of who's in front of me, then I can execute what you need from me better. So as a health coach, you definitely need to be aware of what they need, and be a good listener. All health coaches are good listeners. If you talking more than your client, you need to send them to somebody else. They're not the person for you. Neither should you be in this field. If you're doing more talking, you need to go be a politician. But if you're going to be a health coach, you need to be a good listener. So being empathic, being very aware, and being a good listener are one of the top three. And being very mindful, just being there, being present with your people. Because we know you're a health coach and we know you got things going on too, but you can't sit in that seat with your problems. You need to be aware of what's going on in front of you. So whatever happens with you does not come in that room. So be aware of your life as well. So that when you walk in that room, it's all about your client. It's all about them.
I love it. I love it. I feel like the greatest gift you could give to somebody is to listen to them.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I think that's, if you spent enough time around people who are elders, they love to be listened to. They
Yes.
love to share, and they
Hmm.
love to be listened to, and they got a
Right.
lot to share.
A lot.
And most of us get like that throughout our years. We don't
Exactly.
have the
Exactly.
opportunity to share. That's why elders just, they say whatever they want, because they're like, I'm just gonna let it out because I wanted to say this 10 years ago.
Right.
So it's important that that we have a coach and that we have people we can connect with that will actually
Listen.
listen to us.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And so I want to talk now, um, a little bit about your experience with the school here, with Legacy. How was your experience here? What do you feel like were the key things that you took away that you feel like you can use forever? And what were some things that made you say, I didn't really know about that until I came here?
When I started at Legacy, I came in with really no knowledge of other than what I've already learned on my own through our own practices in our own schools. But Legacy brought another dynamic to it because it brought the health field into my mind and into my consciousness to connect to everything that I've already been doing. Things that you read and you hear and you've been taught, but now I can connect it to the health profession. And so my tenure at Legacy was amazing. I have no qualms. I was the problem. I was the one because I had so much going on. I ended up graduating a cohort behind the original cohort I should be in. But I love it because Dr. Cudgel was so amazing. She was like, you're not gonna start over. You just gonna pick up where you at in the next
Mhm.
in the next section. And I'm like, oh, for real? Thank you, thank you. And that was probably the best day of my life because whether I said it at graduation, I'll say it again today. When I graduated from Legacy, that was my first degree ever that I've ever had in life. That's the first one I've had. I've been to school. I go. You know how you go, and life happens, and you don't
Mhm.
finish. And so I have all these credits because I went to school for accounting, but I got to the
Wow.
last semester, and I said, I'm done. I'm over it. I'm so over it. Not knowing that I was going to get back in it at 47. So I'm back. I'm back where I started again. You always who you were. You just don't know it. And so at Legacy, I just went through and I learned so much about my body and how my body connects and my mind connects to my organs and how it's so amazing to see how you can sit in class at Legacy and you can read something you're like, really? Now they didn't tell me that when I was
Mhm.
growing up. Are you kidding
Mhm.
me? What? Don't do that? No. And so
Mhm.
Legacy brought a lot of awareness to me. I mean, I always go back and reference stuff that I learned in Legacy. And the one thing I love about it is the community. Everybody from Dr. Cudger all the way down to every classmate, we all are community. We're all helping each other, trying to make sure you got what you need. I have people right now that I didn't even know still knew who I was liking and I was like, oh my God, she's I remember you. And so Legacy brings you not only a greater awareness of you and your body, because it was for me at first. I went to Legacy for me. I went to get something for me,
Mhm.
to know how to work my body better. Now I can go and I can help others. And so Legacy is a great place. If you're trying to elevate in any capacity with your health, I say go to Legacy. That's just me. So
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And we really do try to be a good community here because we know those numbers of African Americans and minorities are so, 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 so small. But it's not just them, it's marginalized communities. It's communities that people look over or they choose not to coach. That is children, that's adolescents, that's the senior community, that's the LGBTQIA plus community. There are a
yes.
lot of people that look over these individuals and not assist them or not coach them or those individuals feel like it's challenging to get someone who can identify with them so that
Right.
they can open up, so that they can
Right.
get the help that they need. So it's more than just being a minority, it's also being marginalized and a part of
Yes.
any ethnic background. You
Right.
know, those
Right.
individuals are not getting what they need. And so we try to make sure that this program is inclusive of those different people and those who truly need the help. And
Yeah.
there, all of you guys who are here, if you have not registered for this live stream, like if you're joining us from Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, make sure that you go back and you click the link, you register, because your name will go into a drawing for a full scholarship. Okay, so make sure that you do that. All right. And
Okay.
so, frankly, we got to hop off in the next 5 minutes, and so
Yes.
I want to just say an incredible thank you. Man, time flew. I want to say an incredible thank you to you for bringing your smile, your knowledge, your expertise, and your energy to this interview. And I know every single person who was watching, they got some gems out of this. They got so
Awesome.
much goodness out of this that they're going to say, I'm going to post up this evening and watch the replay because I need to take a couple of notes. For those of you interested in enrolling, before we hear final words from Franshelia, for those of you who are interested in enrolling in our next cohort, we took cohort number 1 in 2018, and we took cohort 44 this month. We took cohort 44. So we are now enrolling our fourth cohort for those of you who are interested. And for those of you who serve these communities and feel like you deserve a partial or full scholarship, you definitely want to you want to go and hit enroll, or let us know that you want to enroll by texting to that number. Francia, before we hop off, we got people on the fence. We got folks trying to make decisions in their life and they don't know which way to go. What would you tell someone who says, I know that I'm supposed to lead, right? Kind of like I read this in it wasn't Think and Grow Rich. What was it in? It was in, I can't remember the book. I'll have to drop it here later, you guys. But the person said, I know that I'm a music prodigy. I could feel the music in my body, but I can't make my body and my hands go right. So for someone who's listening, who feels like, I know I'm supposed to lead, I know I'm supposed to know more, but I can't make myself go right. I can't make myself take the next step. What would you say to a person like that?
Well, the first thing I would say to that person is don't take the step. That's the first thing. Figure out what the step is. And when you figure out which route you want to take, even if you are unclear of where it's going to end, now move forward. But the first thing is let me get myself together. Because if you step out unbeknownst to what you're stepping into, even to the point of, I don't even understand where I'm going right now, I'm just going to do it. No, 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 no. Formulate a plan. Even if the plan does not work the way you think it should, you still need a plan. So formulate a plan.
Mhm.
And then at this point, just do it. Even if it fails, you'll never know until you just do it. So just do it. Because at the
Mhm.
end of the day, you're going to be who you already were. You just don't know it.
Mhm. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Again, it's been a pleasure sharing time and space with everyone who joined us. Thank you so, so,
Thank
so,
you,
so
guys.
much. And we will see you guys next time where we cover reflexology and expanding beyond your health coaching certification and
Yes.
what that looks like and how you can show up and serve. Have an incredible day, everybody. Bye.
Bye, y'all. Thank you, Dr. Kudger. Love you.
Thank you.